Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Tropical Update number 50 on the historic August 29th, 2021. This is your afternoon update on Hurricane Ida, as well as the other systems we're watching in the Atlantic. Ida made landfall this afternoon about noon Central Time near Port Fourchon, Louisiana. It's going to continue to make its way towards landfall. Made landfall with winds of 150 and a pressure of 930 millibars, and it bottomed out around 929 millibars. One of the police chief in Grand Isle, Louisiana, recorded wind speeds of 148 miles an hour, and then the gauge broke, and so that's kind of where we're at right now with Category 4 major Hurricane Ida. The watches and warnings remain the same in terms of hurricane and tropical storm. Again, there's not really much that we can do at this point other than, assert the need for prayers for the people of Louisiana, not only today, but also elsewhere in Louisiana and throughout the world, people who lived in New Orleans 16 years ago during Hurricane Katrina. So, again, a very historic day now. For two reasons, not just Katrina, but also Ida, and they'll forever be side by side. As we see here, the radar image of Ida, we see there's two concentric eye walls there with the storm, and of course heavy rain to the east of the center, where we'll see rainfall in excess of 2 feet perhaps in areas, and of course very, very strong winds, heavy rain, large storm surge. All possible with Ida, and perhaps even a tornado and 2 tornado watches in effect as well. Again, Ida is going to be making its way inland, where we see that purple area is in that center image is the potential for major hurricane force winds. That red area is hurricane force, orange area is gale force, and the yellow area is tropical storm force winds. Again, Ida is currently over Louisiana, making its way into the heart of it, and will remain a hurricane as it nears Baton Rouge. And that's kind of where we're at right now with the storm. As we see here, extreme flooding rain for many areas. Again, 10 to 18 isolated, 24 for southeastern Louisiana and far southern Mississippi, 5 to 10 isolated, 15 for coastal Alabama and far western Florida, 4 to 8 isolated, 12 for central Mississippi, 3 to 6 in isolated higher amounts for the Tennessee Valley, Upper Ohio Valley, Central Appalachians into the Mid-Atlantic. Again, we can see the 5-day rainfall forecast bringing heavy rain. Excess of 6 inches even into central Pennsylvania due to Ida. And so that's kind of where we're at the moment. Again, it's really a not good scenario at all in any respect, no matter how you cut it. Now, we see 8 to 12 feet of storm surge. That's up from the previous update from the mouth of the Mississippi to Bay St. Louis. 12 to 16 from Port Fourchon to the mouth of the Mississippi. And then 8 to 12 from there to Morgan City. So again, extreme storm surge in these areas. That's absolutely crazy. And again, some areas all the way into the Florida Panhandle, it will be experiencing this large storm surge associated with this storm. Of course, all the bays and little areas in between going to be getting this storm surge as well. Tornadoes also a concern, as we can see a slight risk of tornadoes both today and tomorrow for far eastern Louisiana, southern Mississippi, southwestern Alabama, and far western Florida. In the Panhandle, there are marginal risks surrounding that for much of Mississippi and Alabama, if not all of it, southern Tennessee and Georgia tomorrow. And then as we head in to Tuesday, we'll also have the Florida Panhandle, a good chunk of Georgia and Alabama inside of a tornado risk as well due to Ida. As we see on here, this is the latest track. This is all I'm going to show in terms of track because it really doesn't matter at this point. It should, again, lose its hurricane status around Baton Rouge and then around the latitude of Baton Rouge, and then continue on with its life as we see. By the time we get to 24 hours from now, it's going to move from a high-end Cat 4 to upper in tropical storm before moving off as a tropical depression and then a post-tropical cyclone. Here's the NHC forecast for every single forecast made for Tropical Depression 9 and then Ida. As we see, the storm was, aside from that first forecast, which was more towards central Louisiana, every forecast after that had basically this exact landfall point. And not only that, it had basically this exact strength with the storm. And so it's just an amazing feat of meteorological skill that the forecasters at the National Hurricane Center have. And yeah, sure, we had that wobble to the east, but that's not changing the landfall point much at all. It's just such great a skill that that these forecasters have to predict that a Category 4 hurricane is going to hit southeast Louisiana as soon as the storm forms. I mean, they know that something like that's going to happen. And that's impressive, and I think that's something that we won't forget, and we shouldn't forget because of how impressive this accomplishment is. So not only thanks to them, but thanks to you guys for sharing this throughout the course of Ida. Continue to do so because hurricane season is underway. I have 4 storms to talk about now that we're done with today's video portion of Ida. So let's move on to Tropical Storm Julian, located over the north central Atlantic. Winds of 50 miles an hour. Does this not have... okay, well, I guess it doesn't have its animation with it. But again, Tropical Storm, it's gonna strengthen as it moves to the north, but also lose its tropical characteristics. As we see here, outside chance of Cat 1, probably not, but a strong tropical storm certainly possible with Julian, and so Julian will be making its way in that direction. Tropical Depression 10 located over the north central Atlantic as well, basically due south of where Julian is located with winds of 35 miles an hour. It will be making its way to tropical storm force by the time we get to Monday, probably. And so that's kind of where we're at right now with 10. So we'll continue to watch that. A few models even take this up to hurricane force, although we see the European ensemble isn't very, doesn't like this storm very much and doesn't have much model support at all. So again, lots of options still out there with how 10 does, but the good thing for Julian and 10 is that they'll both be avoiding land. We have that area of interest off the African coast. Now with an 80% chance of formation in the next 5 days, we'll continue to monitor that one. Wouldn't be surprised if we get some tropical storm watches for the Cabo Verde Islands, but probably not, given that it'll be far enough south. Again, we'll continue to watch this storm, as this will be something to talk about. Even a week from now, we'll still be talking about this area of interest, and it'll at that point likely be a major hurricane somewhere over the Atlantic. Probably not going to hit land, but there has been some recent trends that it may take a closer jab towards land than what we originally thought. So we'll see with this one, but again, it's a while away, even if there is a land component associated with this one. Of course, this area of interest off the North Carolina coast has only a 10% chance of formation within the next 5 days. That should say low down there in the bottom of the screen, but it doesn't. But again, this one's just a minor thing, not much model support on it. So hopefully we'll be fine with this, but still something to keep an eye on nonetheless. Anyways, guys, thank you for paying attention and sticking throughout all these updates on Major Hurricane Ida. We'll continue to have updates on it, Julian, Tropical Depression 10, soon to be, I think Kate is the next name, but don't quote me on that. And then, of course, our other areas of interest likely to get named later this week as well. That's all for now. Chris 6 of Weather Catholic Media.